My IG handle is my cutter Vinny. I kind of played it off of my cousin Vinny, the old school movie with Marissa Tomei and Joe Pesci. I just thought it was kind of funny and would probably get me a little attention too. So, you know, it's not a bad thing. Today, I already have my wonderful doll head, my wonderful model, pre-sectioned. So usually when I'm behind the chair in the salon, I'll start with my consultation. Consultation is definitely key. I know you guys agree with that. So I definitely just start talking to my clients and just start figuring out what they want and listening and asking those questions that we know how to ask, but enabling them to give you the answers so that we're on the same vibe, we're on the same path, you know? So I treat hairdressing definitely as an art form. You know, I love every aspect about it. And it's like being an architect. You're an architect. So today, what we're going to do is a pixie haircut. Going to play a little disconnection in the front. But I just want to really hone in on the basics of, you know, really watching your tension, your elevation, and your direction of where you're pulling the hair, because that's key, especially for a pixie. So I'm going to talk and get started. I'm going to change my angle so you guys could see it better. So this is the way I started doing my pixies. It's technically, I would say, a steeper graduation, almost layered, but still on that V kind of a shape where my finger angle is right now. So take my first cut, go right into my second, cut to my, not past my second knuckle. And now I'm just going with the round of the head. So if you could see this last section, I'm just going to clean up just a little bit. And now we have our nice little shape that we started.
Vinny, it looks great, man. Have fun. I'll be in the background.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. So just wanted you guys to see that. So this allows me to go from basically the high occipital all the way down to the nape. It'll leave a little something to play with afterwards, but the shape that you create, that's what you want to see, because it's going to build away from the occipital. It's going to accentuate the occipital and create a beautiful shape. So I'm just doing traveling guide. So 2 into 1, 3 into 2, because I'm just following head shape on this because it's a pixie. Just let me know if you guys could see what I'm doing, the angle, anything. If I need to adjust, I will for you. So what I usually do is take my index finger and I'll just point like a laser right down. I want my section to be the width of my finger and nothing more, because then you're not going to have, you're going to have too much hair to work with. And then you could get lost in the haircut, you could lose your guide, and then that's when your shape becomes not the shape you intended. So I think that's very, very key in more precision haircutting. So now the next section into the previous, see my guide. At least it's a nice day, guys. I love it. I went out before, needed to get my car washed. The birds were pooping all over it. I was like, oh, that's awesome. first thing in the morning, come out and see tons of bird poop on your car. I'm like, oh, so I had to go take care of that. But today was, at least in Connecticut, is gorgeous. I hope that it's gorgeous where you guys are. So again, the next section into the previous. Establish my guide, and I take the cut. Still going with the round of the head as well for the shape of the pixie. But you could already start seeing, you know, the buildup of the weight a little bit. So it is going to act like, you know, it's basically a graduation, just tight to the head.
I think that's going to be a great view as long as your shoulder and elbow aren't in the way. I think that's going to be a great angle.
Awesome. Yes, definitely let me know if I'm blocking you guys from seeing. And I like to look at when I take my sections as like when you flip a page to a book. It overlaps each other and goes right on top of each other. That's how I think of when I take my sections for this haircut.
And it's a traveling guide, you said, correct? So that
yes,
coming to
yep.
What you're cutting.
Exactly. Yep. Going right back to the previous section. Traveling guide for sure. Just for this kind of pixie. And based on your client's needs as well.
Vinny, spin her a little bit more. There you go. A little bit more.
A little bit more?
There you go. We're going to be peeking over your shoulder, but I think that'll be a great view for them.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Perfect.
So continuing with just following the head shape, and now you could really see the nice profile that it gets as well. And I love the shape already. Beautiful. Just going to take the last section, and then we'll flip it to the other side, and I'll just get through the other side pretty quick for you. And like I said before, it's all about tension, over direction.
You're good.
Sorry about that. Sorry about that. So I was saying, it's all about tension. Whether you're elevating or not. That's what basics of hairdressing. That's what it's all about. And that's what I've practiced in my career. I've been doing hair for 14 years. I taught for Paul Mitchell for like 5.5, almost 6 years. I really went to my first hairdressing show, and I believe it was Kelly Cardenas, and it was a Paul Mitchell show, and I just loved it. And I just was like, how do they create these sculptures of work on people's heads like that? And I was just blown away by the talent and just, you know, the excitement and just everything about it. And I loved it. It was awesome. So that kind of led me into hairdressing. My mom's a hairdresser. I've been around it my whole life. But when I decided to take the leap and actually do it, you know, it was definitely a little scary for me at first. I'm not going to lie. But I believe, you know, if you have passion for this industry, you have a drive for this industry, you really want to make people's days, you know? I mean, I think that's what hairdressing is all about. It's not just the haircut that you give. It's not what you talk about all the time, but it's the connection. It's the vibe with the person. It's making them feel safe, especially in a time like this. Now, the way I do this is I continue to take my vertical sections, but I don't change my hand positioning by flipping them down. I still keep my hand positioning the same way, and I believe it's all about the body positioning. So I'm almost like standing like a ninja and just getting right in there. And as long as I could see my guide and I could see where the hair is pulling from the root to my fingers, and as long as my finger angle is where I want it to be, it's going to be on point. So I kind of learned that little trick, or I don't know if anybody else cuts like that or not, but it was just a cool little trick that I kind of developed. And especially for these kinds of cuts, I think it's a little bit easier as well. Definitely depending on the cut though, because there are haircuts out there, I believe, that you definitely have to change your finger angles. You may have to, whatever it takes to create that vision that you have in your mind. So again, vertical sections, drawing right down to my finger.
Do you ever have the guest look down?
Yes, I do. Yep. I usually do start them head down, and then I will, you know, as we progress forward, you know, towards the front of the head and everything, little by little, I'll have them start pulling their head back up, just because, especially for following the head shape, that's key for that. But I definitely do that, because if you're doing a one-length haircut and you don't, and you keep them straight the whole time, then you're going to have an unevenness. But if you start with them down and then have them slowly come up, you'll have that nice, perfect balance. So again, vertical sections, cutting right to my guide, following my guide, watching my finger angle, watching my tension. I just clean that up a little bit better. Oops. And I do that a lot too in the salon. I drop my comb 1,000,000 times a day, and the girls that work with me, they just laugh. So funny. Establish my guide. Still cutting in that V formation. So there's going to be a little bit at the bottom, because it is going to be a little bit closer to the nape. So as you could see from the side, I don't know if you could see that from that angle or not, but I had to go, so it's basically coming in a little bit, and that'll flare out. And I feel like that gives, you know, it's still going to have some femininity to the haircut, you know, depending on your client's needs and wants. And if they like it more frayed and kind of chiseled at, you know, you could do that as well. So I kind of leave that after for the refinement. So again, vertical sections, I'm just following my guide. Now this is when I'll go and cross-check the back really quick, just to make sure that my shape is what I want it to be. So it's going to be round because we had a traveling guide, so we went with the head shape. These mannequins' heads are very round, so it's going to be definitely a round shape. But depending on who the client is, you know, sometimes you may have to fill in the gaps. So your section may differ from that because sometimes people have more of a flat head right here and they don't get a lot of volume. So sometimes you'll have to create that with the haircut. And once I get to the top, I'm going to explain a little bit more about that as well with the layering part of it and just how to really build that shape so they get volume, even though it's a pixie and it's going to be pretty short, that they're still going to get a lot of volume and shape from it. So now I'm just in the front right here. So because it's a mannequin and she has long hair, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, because I want this to be a disconnection, so I'm just going to slide cut right down just to get a little bit of the weight out, and then I'll refine it a little bit more once we blow dry the haircut. This is when it becomes more of art, I feel like, because then you're kind of going off of your own judgment. You know, it's not just the basics of everything. This is when you could get a little bit creative with it, and that's what I like. I love, you know, creativity and just thinking outside of the box. I think that's, you know, key. Like, we're creative people, hairdressers, so it's, you know, to challenge ourselves and to see if we could progress. You know, I try to, you know, treat every haircut as if it's like the first time I'm doing hair, or, you know, trying to outdo my last haircut. Just because, you know, I don't want to stay stagnant in this business. I want to grow and I want to learn and I want to evolve as an artist. And I believe, you know, we all do, especially ones that are watching right now. You know, education is key. So I'm just going to take a little bit more off of that. I don't want it to be too extreme and take away from it still being a pixie, but then I still could do some stroking techniques or something else, slide cut, just to kind of reshape it and refine it, and then it'll kind of, I feel like it'll blend with the rest of the haircut better as well. So now these are still vertical sections, and I'm just pulling out, and I'm using my judgment. I cut kind of a little bit, probably about 1.5 to 2 inches below where the back sits, like the side, basically, before it goes into this side panel right here. Take another vertical section, and now I have a guide from that. So my guide would be right here, because I could see it. You could see through the hair. It's like razor cutting, basically, but with scissors. So you could see where the previous hair was cut, because it looks a little bit more, it's not as dense. It's almost see-through, so I could tell that that's my guide right there. But like I said, I'm going to have to go a little bit more just so it's not so extreme. So if I am going to pull it out all at once, I definitely make sure I'll pull it back. I'll pull it every angle just to make sure that it's on point. Check the front. Let's take a little bit more. That should be pretty good. And we'll get to the top. And now we'll do some layering. So for this haircut, what I always do is I just comb the hair all the way back. And then using my mirror in the salon, that is key for me. The mirror is key. The mirror will give you a different perspective on what you're looking at. So you'll be able to see if you're on point, 90 degrees, or if you're off. The mirror will just show you everything. Once I learned that years back, I was just blown away and mesmerized at how the mirror is another tool for us. So I split it right center back, just like as I did in the back. Now, from the apex, I'll find the apex, highest point of the head, go straight down. And then I separate the front from the back. I'll show you guys this from the back. So, apex, high point of the head, go straight down. Okay. Split the back from the front, excuse me. And then I'll section this off and keep that for later. And this is, I'm just following the same sectioning, so vertical sectioning again. I like to keep it simple sometimes, guys. Sometimes it's more effective, a little bit, less time consuming, especially in the salon. So all of this hair right here, right now, is going to be too much for me. So I'm just going to split it right in half. I think I'm going to take a little bit more. And then I'm going to establish my guide from what I cut previously underneath. And I want to make sure I have enough hair in there so I could see where I cut. So now this is still going to be 90 degrees from the head. And I'm just going to follow the head shape. Establish my guide. And just really watching, so this is what I was saying before, really watching my elevation and the root, watching the roots and where they're going. Is it very taut in my fingers? Or is it not? Is it crooked? Is it leaning a little bit? That'll throw your shape off right away. So you definitely don't want to do that. So starting again, straight back, following my guide, what I previously cut, vertical sections. And this is when cutting, not past your second knuckle really is key for something like this, or as precise, for a precise haircut, I should say. So now I'm going to take a little bit, push it aside. Now I have my guide. And then just right back to the same. There we go. That's 2. Hey, do I get a prize if I keep on dropping my combs throughout my whole demonstration?
When I was in the salon full time, man, the worst thing to do would be to come in on a Tuesday and like your first guest to drop something, because then the rest of the week I would have the dropsies. all week,
Yep, right.
all day, every day, all week.
But that's my life, though. That's me. Just I don't know what it is. Maybe I get too into the haircut, and I don't know what it is. It's funny. All right, so then I just finished that back panel right here, and you can really start to see that shape now come together. Really nice. So this will give a little pop right here to the top, a little volume. So now I'm going to take what I previously cut, and again, section straight down, vertical sectioning. Go straight back with it. Establish my guide and cut. And this is a traveling guide as well. So this is definitely traveling around the head as well. So it's just following head shape. So I guess you could say it's going to be vertical sections, and then they become more pie-like sections because you are following the round of the head. Establish my guide, make sure I could really see where I want that cut to be. These mannequins have such weird hair sometimes, or most of the time. So still doing what I've been doing, taking my last section from the side or back panel and just bringing it right to the previous section. Cut that. And, whoops. And now we have that completed in the back, except for this weird little tendril right here that popped out of nowhere. How did this guy get there? We'll take care of that. All right. So I think the shape looks pretty good. I'm liking it. Now when I get to the front of the hair, I'm going to clip the disconnections to the side. But I always will pull all this hair forward. And then I take my first section vertical. Like I said, keeping it simple, just following the principles of basic hair cutting, of tension over direction, like I was saying before, and elevation. And I'm going to turn it to the side so you can see it better. So again, that's too much hair for me to hold and maintain and keep the shape. Looking at the root all the way to my fingers. Looks good to me. And I cut it. And just making sure it connects fully from the back to the front. I'll just go and make sure that it does, and I'll cut it, and then if it needs to just be refined a little bit, I'll do it then right there. And then leave the real refinement for last after the blow dry. So this, like I said, this is where it's so key to watch where you're pulling the hair from, because you want it to, it's going to be a rounder shape, so your cutting line changes as you progress towards the front. So really just making sure I have everything, all the hair right there and nice and taut between my fingers. And there we go. That's what I like to see right there. Nice and precise. Taking this last section. These mannequins dry so fast. So again, traveling guide. Making sure I'm pulling the hair straight from the head into the previous section. Watching my roots, where they are, if they're consistent with what I'm trying to build. Just going to take a little bit more off of that. Last section, right into the previous. Just following head shape, 90 degrees. Just your standard layers. Just enough water. Of course, I would do that to myself, but that's all right. So, same thing as the other side. Move this so you can see it a little bit better. So again, just watching where I'm pulling the head from, the hair from the head. We got our cut right there. Have to go back a little bit because there's bits of hairs. These mannequin heads, their hair, it's just funky at times. Depending which type of mannequin head you have too as well. They have some good quality ones out there that are almost lifelike. I'm gonna chip this little piece off. Grab my next section. Same thing. Right into previous. All right. I love when you could just see the hair just pop up as you're cutting it. That's how you know you just have it. It's perfect. Just take some of that hair out of the way. Last section. Watching my tension, watching what I'm cutting. Just all the basic fundamentals, that we learned in beauty school. I couldn't believe it started clicking with me, and it was like, the basics. When you hone the basics, that's when you really could excel and really start combining different shapes with others, get more creative. It's really fun. I really love it. I love hairdressing. I love what it's all about. So now we have our Pixie. As you can see, the shape and everything. I love that. This is going to get cut a little bit more. I'll show you that, but we'll just give her a little blow dry. I'm just going to grab my blow dryer. And for this, I'm going to use just my Paul Mitchell 413 brush. I love that for more precise, especially pixie type cuts. But what I'm doing is I'm flat wrapping. So I'm just pushing the hair in every direction. I feel like pushing it in every direction, especially for short haircuts like this, the root won't go in just one direction. It'll go wherever it wants. And that's when you'll get that nice flawless look, and the wind could blow, or you could be driving in a convertible and your hair will just go right back to normal right as soon as you get out of that car or away from that wind or whatever it is. And that's what you're looking for. So I'm just going back and forth. This is the truck. This is the tractor trailer that's connected to it.
Now's a perfect time if anyone has any questions to go ahead and ask, and we'll address them.
What was that? Oh, okay. Some questions. So I'm just going right with the round of the head, flat wrapping it, just really getting that nice shape. Now I'm going to start going backwards, the opposite way. So now I'm just getting the sides, I want them to go in a little bit and not out. So I just give it a little encouragement. And I'm just going to continue to flat wrap. Just about done with the flat wrapping, and then we'll go through the refinement. That little shape, I love the way it falls. The one thing I don't like, the mannequin has this like weird part, but it's what I could find during this, crisis that we've had. So I'll use anything for art's sake. So now I always switch to cool air for the finish, because then heat will expand. So now this will just help it, because I feel like after that I really don't even need to flat iron. I could to really accentuate the shape, but I feel like what I have right now and with the cool air is just going to finish it off perfectly, and I don't necessarily have to all the time use my flat iron just to get the shape. It depends on what I'm creating, I believe, as well. Okay. So I feel like I really dig in the shape. I like the profile, everything about it. So now I'm just going to go in and refine. And if you did a nice, precise haircut, the refinement process is fairly quick. So I just go opposite of what my sections were before. I had vertical sections in the beginning. Now I'm going horizontal because we're checking the shape. So I just want to make sure that looks pretty good to me, not too bad. But I just want to see it be consistent in the line. So it's going to be a little bit more like that. I mean, that looks pretty good, I feel like. So part of the disconnection, so that's what you want to watch out for as well. This corner right here, I feel like could get taken off just a little bit. But I could have easily cut that part of that disconnection, which I want to keep. So just cleaning up the line. I like what I see because it's nice and clean. Not too bad. This side seems a little slightly heavier, but not too bad. See that split right there? That's what I don't like about that, but that's okay. We'll work with that.
If you get out the steamer, you might be able to take care of that.
The flat iron?
I'm kidding, man. My OCD, that'd be driving me crazy too.
Well,
it looks great. Looks great.
Believe me, it's driving me crazy too. But for time frame, I don't know if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, we get it. We've worked with mannequins. This is a great shape, man. This is great.
Yeah. Thank you. And that's what I was explaining before. So taking those nice vertical sections from all the way from the back where we first started, all the way up. See how it just hugs the head very, very nicely? See how you can see that against that white background? And then we could put a little wax or something in there, a little moldable wax or pomade or something, or even texture spray, something just to accentuate the texture in it and give off, just accentuate the shape basically. So here I'm just going to do a little stroking technique just to make it a little bit light. Now this is going to give it a little bit of a triangular shape right here. It's going to be short and go long because each section I take still vertical. I find my guide, just a little bit of hair, and cut. Same thing as I progress to the next section. Find my guide. It's just a little hair to cut. I mean, the mannequins are funky. They have funny hair. We all know, like you said. But just a little stroking just to get it a little bit feathered. But I like that. So I feel like the front, I'm just going to go with what was created. So because it was round, this is going to be the longest point. It's going to get a little bit shorter. So I think I'm just going to chisel that out a little bit and leave it still soft, but it's still going to be a little bit heavy. But it'll still be soft. And then I'm just going to chisel into this piece a little bit. And a little bit on the top, and we should be good. And I always go through the back too and clean that up as well. Depending on the size of the section and how much hair the person has, that's when I'll subsection it, or what I'm going to do right now is just take it as it is and just make sure my comb is on a good angle. I want you guys to see. So it goes from here the longest, it goes up a little bit, and then it goes down and it's swooped down. That's what I want to achieve by chiseling, basically chiseling with my scissors. And you have to be very careful, you know, when you're doing this, especially on a real person. So you want to have total control. So I always rest my scissors like so on my index finger anytime I'm near somebody's face, just so that I make sure I know I'm in control and not the tool in my hand. Using the bigger side of the comb, not the fine side, but the bigger teeth. Now I'm just pulling the hair straight down, and I'm just going with the shape that I already see. But you just have to look at it as a laser line that you're cutting, and use your comb like I just did, and that'll help you so much to get that line in. And that'll help you as well, I think, to keep your scissors away too close to your client's face, basically, as well. So now I'm just going to slide cut. Make sure you can see that. I'm just going to slide cut just to cut those little pieces of hair that are sticking out. Now I could see the side a little bit better. And now I could really just take my scissors and just go really straight up with that. And you'll see if there's any hair sticking out.
How long are your haircuts in the salon, Vinny?
I book for an hour. For new clients, it depends on the person too. If they have a lot of hair and they're a new client, definitely an hour. But if they have, if they don't have a lot of hair, then I'll do even 45 minutes to a half an hour. I have a couple people.
I think I think a lot of times people think, oh, how long do you cut? And it's like, I have guests that I book 45 minutes and I only need 35. And I have guests that, you know, take more towards an hour, you know, and some of my men clients with short hair take just as long as you know, my ladies. So I think, you know, it's all relevant.
Yep. Definitely. I totally agree with that. It's all based on the person's hair. And some people, you know, have thicker, or even the per square inch on their head. They'll have, it could be fine hair, but I ran into that so much in my career that I found that it'll even be fine hair, but it'll just be so thick because per square inch, there's just so much growing from it. So that alone, that definitely will take more time in the salon as well.
So as you're finishing up detailing this dry cutting, why don't you just kind of just bring us home?
Okay, so basically, started in the back, vertical sections, straight down, my finger angle as if I'm doing a graduation, which it pretty much is. Just follows the head. I just do a steep graduation, basically. It leaves a little hair on the bottom. Could refine that after as well. And then once I got into the crown area, occipital to crown, that's when I started cutting right to head shape, 90 degrees all the way through, just because I could have went, instead of having this shape going like this, I could have had that shape in the back, but then shot to the moon or shot to the stars. But then it would have made it very, very heavy in the front. And I think it would have took away from being a pixie and given them more of a bob-ish kind of an effect or a feel or a look. So follow the head, still vertical sections all the way to the front. And just really watching, like I was saying before, I can't stress that enough as a an educator, whatever. You just want to make sure you're looking at the roots as well and watching your tension, watching where you're pulling, using your mirror when you're in the salon, and those are the keys to success. That's what's helped me and people like Ira Pope Sage and DJ Muldoon and a lot of other great artists out there, just to name just a couple right off the top of my head, that have influenced me in my hair cutting and have helped me to grow and learn and be more of a technical, architectural way or approach to haircutting. And then we just brought everything to the front. So same with the vertical sections all the way to the front, and just really made sure I stayed going with the head shape. So even this, her head is really round, so going right to the frontal. Just making sure I clip that a little bit, because then it'll be a little bit heavy, little less heavier as well. And then I left these disconnections prior to all that. That was in my sectioning. So I did horseshoe sectioning. So the top was sectioned away from the disconnections and the back. And I think that was pretty much it. And now I'm, like I said, I just go opposite of what I did. And now I'm just going to soften that line just a little bit, because you still want to have your shape. If you texturize way too much, then you'll create or take away from your shape. So now I'm just going to go and follow the shape that I already created, because we already know it's going to be round like this. And I'm just going to pull sections. Now see, that has a little bit of the disconnection in it. I don't want to cut any of that. And I'll just take it up and just cut. And because it's a precise haircut, I'm cutting like that. Or you could, like I did, just to soften a little bit as well. So you could do both, whatever your creative process, whatever your vision is for what you're creating. I think that's what it's all about. I always usually like to chip in to it just to give a little softness, and I feel like it helps with the end result when you put some wax or pomade or texture spray in it, and it just really helps to give a little extra texture, which I think is awesome.
Can you do you have the products there to be able to style this and take some pictures and post it?
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome.
I definitely do. Yeah, I think I have Davines molding clay, which I like, and especially for something like this that's very texture, it'll have texture in it and everything, and it'll really show off the shape nice, I feel like. And you could even spike the top up if you want, really exaggerate the shape with that kind of a product. I'll use like Day Mist, also from Davines, prior to cutting, because it's super lightweight. It's fine for the hair. It has vitamin and nutrients. It's just really a solid product as a primer, because it's more for fine hair, but all hair types as well, without weighing it down. And it just gives you enough slip in the hair, so while you're doing your cut, it helps you basically be more precise as well.
So here's the dealio, man. Let's wrap this up. If you could take those finished pictures, that'd be great.
Yes.
We'll share them with everybody.
Definitely will.
Thank you so much for joining us. I want to give you the sign off, so you get the last 15 seconds, my friend. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you. Thank you to Sharp and Shears. Thank you to Willie. I appreciate you giving me an opportunity. And I thank everybody that watched today. I really do, out of the sincerity of my heart and what's going on in the world today. I think just take it one day at a time and utilize your time as well. Instead of just sitting on the couch, I've done it too, but just trying new things and trying different things, and just keeping our minds busy. And we'll be back at the salon. It'll be a little bit different, but you know what? We still have our lives, and we're still here till today. So again, my Instagram handle is mycuttervinny, and if you'd like to follow me, you definitely can. I'll follow you back, and have a great day.